Oh, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Was it Wireless Mike? Who said they dig that? They dig that. Um, regardless, regardless. Yes, it was Wireless Mike. Yes, Pepperidge Farm remembers that it was not just Derek Chauvin that was responsible for George Floyd's death. There was other people around Derek Chauvin, other people who were armed and had badges and carried the people's authority with them. And like Derek Chauvin, they abused that authority. Just like Derek Chauvin. They were part of the group that kept civilians from interfering with the, now we can say it for what it was, murder that was happening right in front of their eyes. You know, I'm not. It's there's no overstating the tragedy that happened to George Floyd himself. Let's not forget the people who saw the murder happen. There was a crowd around them watching the murder happen. And for the rest of their days, they'll be going about their tasks. They'll be trying to do their work. They'll be trying to watch their child's piano recital. And they'll randomly have this thought: but I have done something. Is a man dead because I was a coward? It's a horrible thing to put onto somebody's soul. It's a crime to do that to someone. At least the court seems to think so, because one of the filthy rats that stood around Derek Chauvin while he choked George Floyd to death in front of a crowd of people has just been sentenced. Now, very much ex-Minneapolis officer, unrepentant, says the Associated Press, as he gets nearly 5 years in George Floyd killing Tao Tao. I'm going to say Tao Tao. Toe Tao. I think that's, let's go with Toe Tao. Toe Tao, the last former Minneapolis police officer convicted in state court for his role in the killing of George Floyd, did not show any repentance or admit any wrongdoing, as he was sentenced Monday 4 years and 9 months. Tao had previously testified that he merely served as a human traffic cone when he held back concerned bystanders who gathered as former officer Derek Chauvin, who is white, knelt on Floyd's neck for 9.5 minutes while the black man pleaded for his life on May 25, 2020. A bystander video captured Floyd's fading cries of "I can't breathe." Floyd's murder touched off protests worldwide and forced a national reckoning of police brutality and racism, one that we did not come to a satisfactory answer on, because nothing changed. But let's keep it light. Not light, but at least happy. At his sentencing hearing, when this motherfucker was finally brought to something resembling justice, Tao said he never intended to hurt anyone that day. And yet, he hurt a whole crowd of people and participated in the killing of George Floyd. It is now perfectly legal for me to say into a microphone: He spoke at length about his growth as a Christian during his 340 days behind bars, but denied any responsibility. So apparently, his growth as a Christian does not include taking responsibility for his actions. Mm. 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 Well, he's going to go to a place where he might learn something about taking responsibility for one's actions. He'll certainly learn to take responsibility for his actions real quick if he gets mouthy with a larger prisoner. In rambling remarks full of biblical references, he drew parallels with the sufferings and false accusations endured by Job and Jesus. I did not commit these crimes, Tao said. My conscience is clear. I will not be a Judas, nor join a mob in self-preservation or betray my God. Yeah, and that really was what the Bible is all about. The Bible is really about never taking responsibility for anything. It really stresses that we're not the custodians of the earth, and that Jesus lived so that we could do whatever the hell we want and act like a bunch of savages and hold up a Bible instead of, say, telling your fellow police officer to get his knee off a man's neck. I'm glad he understands good. He really seems to have got a religious education. It's dripping with sarcasm, for the record. If you're not a fan of the Bible, it says the opposite of all those things. Hennepin County Judge Peter Cahill, who found Tao guilty in May of aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter, said he would have liked to have heard some kind of repentance from Tao on Monday. After 3 years of reflection, I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret, acknowledgement of some responsibility, and less preaching, he said. Apparently this guy doesn't watch Fox. Cahill then sentenced Tao to 57 months, the top end of the range recommended under state guidelines, where the standard sentence is 48 months and even 4 years. The sentence was more than the 51 months that the prosecutors had sought, and the 41 months requested by Tao's attorney, Robert Paul. First of all, why in hell, in this case, are prosecutors requesting anything but the max? For the crime they're accusing of, how can this not be the worst version of it? Oh, I just realized Floyd wasn't white. Okay, got it. Understood. Oh, and Chauvin was white. And I don't know what Tao is, but he's not black. So it makes sense. Yeah. So they followed the guidelines correctly then. The unwritten guidelines they followed real well. And because I'm apparently going to be furious about this, I'll also point out Tao has served a great deal of his sentence already. Let's see if time served is part of that. I think it has to be. The sentence will run concurrently with a 3.5-year sentence for his separate conviction on a federal civil rights charge, which an appeals court upheld on Friday. Tao will be returned to federal prison. So that civil rights charge just means nothing then. Consecutive is what I wanted, not concurrent. Tao will be returned to federal prison to finish that sentence before he is transferred to a Minnesota state prison to serve out the remaining few months with credit for time served. So look, that's maddening. It is maddening in the details. But there is some good news. The good news is the judge had the wherewithal to give this man more time than prosecutors requested. It's not a good sign that our system of justice has prosecutors recommending anything but the harshest punishment in such a case. But at least the judges have some sense of what is happening on the planet Earth and are reacting accordingly. The judge has given him, as far as the sentencing guidelines allow for, a whopping sentence, which it looks like Tao was begging for. Just begging for. Good. May he find some actual morality once he's in prison. Once he's kicking and screaming, and then he peters out, he just gets tired, and he's exhausted in his cold cell with the thin mattress, and he's getting woken up by prison guards barking at him, telling him it's time to go do his dish scrubbing or inmate laundry or whatever job it is they force him to do without pay in that prison. Hopefully somewhere in there, he thinks about the fact that the treatment he is getting by law enforcement officials is non-lethal. And that he is getting a better shake than his victim got. And hopefully somewhere in there, a little piece of humanity is introduced to that man's heart. And if not, if he's not able to find his humanity inside, well, the other prisoners might smell that on him and introduce him to a boot, which I'd also be fine with.